Hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We're going to cover a couple of important Kentucky political news items in our News of the Week section. We got a couple of amazing guests joining us this week. We're going to start with an update on the General Assembly, currently underway in Frankfort, from friend of the show, Representative Adam Moore. He's going to let us know about bills he's supporting and how he's enjoying his first Frankfort rodeo. Adam Moore, Representative Moore, he's in his first session, which is pretty amazing. And if y'all remember, we did endorse. We got out there and knocked on doors for him, and we're very thrilled he's there. So now can't wait to hear his perspective on it. Let's hope he doesn't regret the decision. Then we're really excited to be joined by the Kentucky Director of Moms Demand Action for Gunsense in America, longest title in advocacy, Cathy Hobart. She was also in Frankfort today, and she's going to tell us what moms have been up to. So if you really excited to get these updates from these, progressive advocates doing really smart, sensible work for our Commonwealth. Should be a heck of a show. Damn glad you've joined us. I also do want to note, this is our 200th episode, which is pretty phenomenal. And actually, if somebody wants to go back through a podcast feed and count all the episodes, it might not be 200. It's, we transitioned from Moscow Mitch Mondays to Kernels of Truth. And so I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's 200. It's close enough for government work. Way closer than they need for DOGE. That's for sure. All right. Before we get into it, though, are you ready to help create a more compassionate Commonwealth? It is crystal clear we're going to need long-term power building to create better policies and outcomes here in Kentucky. We hope you'll support Progress Kentucky in our campaigns to make that happen. Let us know how you want to help. We've got 3 committees underway right now, one that's focused on the legislature, one that's focused on fighting back against Trump and the DOGE bros. And then we've got one that's focused on rural engagement, which, if we want to build long-term power in Kentucky, we've got to figure out ways to do better organizing and engagement in rural communities. So if you are in Kentucky, if you're progressive and you're fired up to help bring more progressive progress. Yeah. We don't want conservative progress. So let us know if you wanted to help out. We will plug you into those efforts. Or of course, you can always do the maybe easier thing is make a contribution. You can do it via our secure online website, Act Blue, to help turn Kentucky purple. So $10, $20, $200, all adds up. You can make those reoccurring contributions. Those are our favorite types of contributions. $10 a month. Why wouldn't you want to buy? What is $10 these days? That's more than a cup of coffee, unless you get a really, really fancy coffee. But it's anyways, 10, 20 bucks, whatever you want, whatever you can do, it all helps out. So let's check in with our co-host. Let us know who you are, where you are, what are you protesting today, or celebrating today, perhaps. And if you're watching on the internet, we'd love to hear what you are fired up about. So put that in the comments. Where you're watching from even would be cool. And then I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky. And my sign just says 200 with like 100 exclamation points. So thrilled about hitting that milestone. All right, Kimberly, you there?
I sure am, Aaron. How are you this evening?
Wonderful.
All of our listeners and viewers, we appreciate you. I'm coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. And my protest sign says today, I've been thinking about this a lot. My protest sign says today, Frankfort, stand down.
Stand down.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
doing too much.
A lot of things, and given the GOP super duper majority in Frankfort, oftentimes they're not great things, for sure.
It's
ugly there. So yeah, how do you feel about episode 200?
I am so honored to be a part of the team with Kernels of Truth and also Progress Kentucky. And I have been on since, it was a while after you all had started the what was it called? Mitch McConnell.
Moscow Mitch Monday, because we went
Yeah,
live on Monday.
right. We sure did, didn't we? How time passes. And we changed, and we flowed. I'm going to say we flowed into kernels of truth. All of us being Kentucky colonels, telling the truth about Kentucky politics. So I feel great. I feel wonderful to be able to be on the 200th episode. And kudos to you, Aaron. You're my little brother and everything, and love you dearly. And we tease each other like how family does. However, it has just been remarkable to be on this journey with you as well.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I'm so thrilled to have done this. You've been the most consistent co-host. You've been the one holding down episodes when I'm out of town. You've been, sure, we haven't seen your face in a few months
Stop,
your
stop.
internet, because of your internet. But whatever. We hear your voice, the dulcet tones. Kimberly Cecil Jones. Yeah, and I just appreciate you doing this work.
Cute.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
No one was questioning that, of course.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I think it's impressive that we've had so many wonderful guests in that time. Really wonderful humans. I saw one earlier today, Silas House. He's been on a few times with us. I think Cathy Hobart actually might hold the record for the most appearances. But yeah, really phenomenal humans that have just done, have helped us build a platform to talk about what we think really does matter for our Commonwealth. And I think we've seen some victories along the way. We've seen plenty of setbacks. When you watch Frankfort too closely, you're going to see some bad news come out of that dome. But also, I think we've had some really big victories along the way as well. So both Amendment 2s have been beaten. We've come out strongly against both of them. And those are big victories for our Commonwealth. And, we're just one piece of a larger puzzle that is trying to make progress in the state. But we're really, we're glad that folks have been along for this ride. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone who's watched and shared our episodes and taken action and come out to canvas and do all the things that we advocate doing. So, all right, let's get into the news of the week, because we have some stories we want to cover. And I think the first story is coming to us from Kimberly.
Yes, and it's about DOGE. We have to make sure we're saying that right. DOGE, which is the Department of Government Efficiency, led by the one and only South African apartheid sympathizer, Elon Musk. There are going to be some cuts to Kentucky. I hate to be the bearer of that news today. However, everyone needs to know what's going on. So our President Trump and Elon Musk move to cut the federal budget are being felt in the mountains as several federal government offices are slated for closure. Now, where I live in Jefferson County here in Louisville, there are 3 offices that are slated to close because of this government efficiency. Now, there's actually going to be 748 offices countrywide whose leases are to be terminated, resulting in estimate $660 million in savings. Of those offices, 19 are located in Kentucky, including several in the mountains. On the chopping block is the Social Security Administration building in Hazard, as well as 6 mine safety and health administration offices around the state, including those that are in Prestonburg and Hazard. In Kentucky, let me tell you the closures, okay? Departmental management, which is here in Louisville. These are the actual organizations that will be affected, ladies and gentlemen. 3 offices, but each federal office has so many different organizations within itself. So we're talking about the Departmental Management Office in Louisville, the Farm Service Agency in Lexington, the Food and Drug Administration here in Louisville, in the IRS in Bowling Green, Hopkinsville, Owensboro, and Paducah, the Mine Safety and Health Administration in Barberville, Beaver Dam, Harlan, Hazard, Madisonville, Prestonburg, Office of the Secretary here in Louisville, Office of Surface Mining Reclaimment and Enforcement in Lexington, the Small Business Administration in Lexington, the Social Security Administration in Campbellsville, and Social Security Administration in Hazard, and also the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to be gone in London, Kentucky. So all of the cuts and the ones that are right here in Kentucky are slated to be maybe an estimate of $300,000 that will be saved with the federal government. The advisory agency claims to have discovered $105 billion in cost savings so far. That only represents about 1.5% of the total federal budget. So if I called out your particular city, county here in Kentucky, they're supposed to be making it so that you would know the nearest office to possibly go to. And hopefully they will be able to do services for you, since Elon Musk has also deactivated all federal agencies' cards except for law enforcement, ICE, and the military, of course. But these people in other offices, let's just say the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration offices, the CDC, we already know that there are cuts right there. Know some people personally that work for the CDC down in Atlanta, Georgia. But him only allowing people a spending limit of $1 on these credit cards. And when you're dealing with the federal government, you cannot use your own money, not even to buy a paper clip. Okay. So there are different agencies other than the ones that I've mentioned before that are they can't function because they don't have the things that they need, like their subscription to certain softwares, things like paper clips, paper, traveling expenses for certain jobs where they have to travel, and on and on and on. We can go on and on and on and on. But the way that they're doing things is total chaos. And this Department of Government Efficiency that Elon Musk is heading, I really don't know what the end result is, because this should have been laid out a little bit more concise. I'm all for cutting the fat, the pork as they call it in government. I'm all for that. However, as our current so-called president, Donald Trump, said last night as he addressed Congress, that most of the Social Security payments and the people in the data bank were between 100 and 140 or 180. I can't remember that last number. Like, the lies need to stop. But if you are impacted by any of these closures that are to come about, hopefully they will hold true to their word, that they will give information of where you can go to get the services that you've been used to getting. Back to you, Aaron.
Yeah, it's the whole Doge thing is like super, I'll say it, it's dodgy. It's dodgy. It's a bad idea, and it's clearly not, it's not a trustworthy endeavor. They're, breaking things as they go, and they get it wrong constantly. So it's a real show, not a good show, not like this show. It is I don't want to say the word, but it starts with an S and ends with a T. And thankfully, people are not having it. People are absolutely protesting. There have been amazing protests already. The Capitol had a rally, I think, yesterday, maybe the third one that they've had. Hundreds of people showed up, which was phenomenal. And I think the overall federal work that's happening right now is pissing off a lot of people. Obviously, the Again show, another S show, was how Zelensky was treated in the Oval Office. Here's a great image from the rally in support of Ukraine that Morgan McGarvey headed up. Hundreds and hundreds of people showing up in support of him and pushing back against what Trump is trying to do with Ukraine, selling them out to Putin. So yeah, it's firing up a lot of opposition. I will say that about what they're doing in Washington D.C. I know there's an event happening, I believe tomorrow, in Frankfort with Jamie Comer folks heading to Jamie Comer's office hours at 109 Capitol Avenue. That's if you're available and you want to come and say hey to Jamie, say what he's up to. That's 11 a.m. There at his office at 109 Capitol Avenue in Frankfort. So lots of opportunities to get involved. I think Trump is firing up a base, and I think that's a very good thing, really. So
he looks like the devil.
What's that? He looks like the devil.
Like the devil in that picture.
He's a dangerous looking guy. All right, so we have a guest that I need to jump to right now because he's stepped out of something important and wants to check in with us, and I'm very thrilled to be joined this evening by Adam Moore, Representative Adam Moore. If folks recall, Representative Moore is somebody we've had on the show a couple of times before, and we're thrilled that he is now a representative, which is really exciting. He's dressing up. The last time he was on the show, I don't think there was a tie involved.
No.
But now he's like, tell us how are things in the Capitol? What's going on? How are you enjoying your first term?
I'm enjoying it. I can't believe how little time we have left. So we only have several legislative days left. We have the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday. We're in Tuesday through Friday of next week, and then we are off for the veto period for Governor Andy to veto any bad bills that he wants to, and then we'll be back for 2 more days. But we're almost done. We're more than 2/3 the way through, and it just turned into March, so it's gone by fast. But I've enjoyed it, and it's been a lot of work, but a lot of good work.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your bill. I think you had a kind of a big day today, maybe with one of your priority pieces of legislation.
Yeah, it was a big day today. House Bill 236. Now, that is an affordable epinephrine bill. So if you think about, most people think about EpiPens, that if you have a really severe bee allergy or a nut allergy, you would keep EpiPens on you. And that way, if you were to have some kind of negative instance, you could give yourself that shot and it would hopefully save your life or prevent a really severe negative allergic reaction. So my bill, House Bill 236, caps the cost out of pocket for anyone in Kentucky to no more than $100 a year for 2 of them. They're often sold in dual packs. Now they only cost about $15 to $30 to make, but the generic brands, they sell for about $450. The name brands sell for $600 to $700. So this is a bill that will save lives, cost people money, and we're not asking anyone, the providers themselves or anyone, to lose any money or to not make profits off of this. It passed through committee today. It passed through with unanimous support. I'm excited about it, and now it's my goal in that small amount of time we have left to hopefully push through the Senate and get the governor's signature on it. I would love to be able to say we passed this law this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll have that. We've had that on our list of calls. We sent out an update to our activists, frequently to let them know what bills they need to call on. That one is now on our list. We'll be encouraging everyone to call their Senate and get that one moving. But you've also been, you were the lead sponsor for our efforts to expand early voting for caregivers. That has a different number now. What happened?
So what happens is that sometimes someone who maybe has more clout than you do will take a good idea and they will wrap it into their bill, which is a good thing. It takes credit off of you, which is fine because we are not here for credit. We're here to get things done for Kentuckians. So I had filed the bill to allow for early absentee voting access for caregivers. That has been wrapped into House Bill 684, which is kind of a larger elections bill, a kind of a cleanup bill for a lot of things, election and voting related. So it's been wrapped up into that. And so it is in the orders of the day, which means it's made it through committee. It's had its readings. It could be voted on at any time. So hopefully House Bill 684 will get passed and it would have that provision installed. And I'll be happy to stand up on the House floor and talk about what a good provision that is for our caregivers when this passes.
That's awesome. That's so great. Well, it sounds like you're making headway on things that matter. That's exciting. I know it can be challenging as being in the minority party there, but it sounds like you're picking issues that matter to people. You can find some, allies across the aisle and move smart things forward. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Part of it is coming here and thinking like, what would it mean to be successful? Because number one, you're a freshman, you don't even know what to do. We gavel in at 2 p.m. The rest of the day is up to you to decide how to be a legislator. You're in a very small minority caucus, so I didn't even know how to define success this session. So we're getting this epinephrine bill moved, which is very exciting for me. As of yesterday, we officially have the Veterans Caucus founded. I was the driver on that. So I'm super excited that we now have a Veterans Caucus in the Kentucky legislature. Then, of course, me just rattling some cages, hopefully got the caregivers bill put into another one as well. So, I mean, a super duper kind of productive session for a first-time lawmaker in the minority.
It sounds like it for sure. So congrats on the Veterans Caucus. I know we talked about that earlier. I think a really smart thing to be doing. I know veteran perspectives are important. As we look at what's happening to the VA at the federal level, as we look at so many federal employees that are veterans that are being let go unjustly, unfairly, without any sort of plan at the federal level, maybe we can find some folks to weigh in on some of that poor treatment of veterans at the federal level.
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of the things we need to do is it allows us to get together outside of like a rigid committee structure, outside of that 30 days a year where we're all so busy. We could get together and we might be at a veteran cemetery. It might be at a VFW. It might be there in Frankfort. We can get together and see what needs are not being met right now and try to bridge those gaps. And I don't think it's our job to build new solutions with state funds. It's our job to identify what solutions may already exist in Kentucky and what veterans do not have access to them, are not currently receiving them, and try to bridge those gaps, find opportunities for us. So it's not costing taxpayers an arm and a leg. We just have the opportunity to be people who have seats at the table in Frankfort to hopefully make some things happen that'll help people's lives.
That's awesome. That's smart approach for sure. Kimberly, I know we've only got a couple minutes with Adam. Any questions that you've got?
Good to see you again, Adam, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
The question that's really on my mind is, today it passed in the House as far as this DOGE situation. What are the Republicans up there? What are they looking to do with I guess, Kentucky government efficiency?
We didn't really have any debate on a DOGE thing in the House today. We really spent all of our time today debating House Bill 495. That was the conversion therapy bill, and House Bill 4, that was the anti-DEI bill. So that really took up a lot of our efforts on the floor today. I don't really have any input on the DOGE side of things, but if you want to talk about either of those bills, we spent a lot of time, probably a full hour or more on the DEI bill, going over those two things, which I know are really important to a lot of members either watching or listening to our podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we'd love to hear your take on that one for sure.
Well, first off, the 495 bill, the conversion therapy bill, I voted against it. I think every person in my caucus voted against it, but it was made a lot less bad. Essentially, the whole bill got wiped out. And what the bill would have done, it basically would have protected any kind of wackadoodle thing that somebody wanted to do, either for faith or belief reasons. And all they ended up doing was essentially we amended it to essentially overrule the governor's executive order that banned conversion therapy. So conversion therapy is, I guess, allowed. We've now overruled the governor's executive order, but we took out all the protections that kind of protect people who might want to do other things in the name of religious beliefs or other personal beliefs as well, which is good because it was a much more dangerous bill originally. On the DEI bill, that's the one we fought over the most today. We probably were on that one for more than an hour. I hope people go back and they watch the legislative live streams, which anyone can do, because a lot of people poured their hearts out on the House floor today. And the fact of the matter is we lost that fight. But I want people in the state to realize that we have not given up on them. Frankfort and people from our caucus have not given up on you. If you feel seen and reflected in that legislation, we're still there fighting the fight. And even though we didn't win this battle, it's not over yet. And it still has to pass the Senate. It still has to survive the governor's veto, which I imagine that he would. So don't give up on us. That's what I'd say about that one.
And remind me of House Bill 4 that is just at it's the secondary level. It bans it in college? Is that right?
Post-secondary. So that's our colleges and universities. That's right.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, which is a lot of there was a kind of complying in advance that happened, right? Even though this hadn't passed, there were some of our state colleges that actually did shutter their DEI offices, just seeing what was kind of coming their way, I suppose. And now with the federal level, because of the executive orders, there's all sorts of concern and confusion really about what's allowed and what people can do.
Yep, exactly. And so nothing tied to race or gender or country of origin, sexual orientation, none of that can be considered. And this stuff is not even admissions related. This is not saying that, oh, it's okay to have student groups or funds that go to promoting inclusion. No, it none of that. You can have nothing that has that in its bylaws and its language at all. It would be one thing if they want to say, oh, we just want to remove this specifically from admissions criteria. No, it is far reaching, it is wide ranging. And that's why you had people pouring their hearts out today, because they feel that there are so many of these organizations that originally were student led because they were a minority on a campus. Whatever that minority was, it might have been a woman, it might have been someone who was a racial minority, it might have been someone who loved, who was not straight or whatever. And so these student groups originated out of these students who wanted to form communities. And bills like this will now not allow those communities to exist on campus anymore.
Shameful. Absolutely shameful. Well, I know you've got an important event to get to. I'm assuming the tie was not for our 200th episode, but I do appreciate you joining us for our 200th episode. And I think really, Representative Moore, you're the glowing example of why Progress Kentucky exists and what we look to do. We really like to get behind, folks who are running tight races and need a little bit of support. We want to lift you up through this podcast and through this live stream to help give you that platform as you launched your campaign. And it's just so gratifying to see you there now doing really smart work.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Kimberly. I will hop off here, and I'm gonna say this tie is just for you guys, because I could have taken it off at any point today, but I left it on for you.
Good politician right there.
Representative Adam, thank you so much.
Bye, y'all.
Have a great event there.
Thanks.
All right. So, really, I'm not blowing smoke. This is, for me at least, the reason we do Progress Kentucky. We put the time in to do an episode every single week and highlight the voices you need to hear from, and to inform the conversation as much as we can, and make our political landscape just a little bit better. And I think Representative Adam Moore, who flipped a competitive district, who he ran a great campaign, but one part of his campaign was like, hey Aaron, I want to be on that show, I want to talk to your folks, I want to talk to your supporters, and he took advantage of a couple of times, and we were so thrilled to be able to endorse him and get out there and knock on doors and erase his tight. I would say that Progress Kentucky was the determining factor, because every single thing was a determining factor with erase that tight. But one other thing that was in fact a determining factor, I'm pretty sure, was his Gunsense candidate nomination or denotation that he had gotten from our next guest. So as I said earlier, I'm pretty sure, I'm bad at counting, but I'm pretty sure Cathy Hobart's been on the show more than about anyone, and really thrilled to have her back for our 200th episode. Cathy, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And this is very exciting because, Adam and I were together earlier at the Capitol. He had invited his supporters to come and watch him present his first bill. And I got up this morning and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go. And so that was fun for me, because generally when I go up to the Capitol, it's not for fun stuff, and not to see somebody actually succeed. So it was really exciting. And yeah, you got Progress Kentucky can take credit for Adam, but I think Moms Demand Action really does need to take credit for Adam, because he was our very first demand a seat candidate. He went through our national program that trains individuals to run for office or to be a campaign manager for someone who's running for office. And I think he just really capitalized on the training that he got through Everytown's demand a seat program. So we're just so proud of Adam and what he's been able to do. Yeah, and to get something like the EpiPen that he talked about today that provides, you know, a life-saving, something life-saving for people at a reasonable rate. It was just very exciting. And one of the things that really made me, that encouraged me was I was there all day today listening to different kinds of bills that were being passed or being debated. And many of them were focused on helping people and saving lives and protecting children in particular. Like there was a bill that was debated and passed in the Senate to provide sensors on buses so that people that are illegally going around the bus while kids are trying to get off the bus will be able to be held accountable for that. And, you know, it was just like, wow, that's really important because, you know, kids sometimes do get hit getting on and off the bus. But of course, the main thing that kills kids in the state of Kentucky is guns. And so, you know, it's encouraging to know that they're concerned about some ways of saving lives. Other ways of saving lives don't get quite the same amount of attention. But it really got me thinking about an approach to some of our lawmakers is like, hey, you were really instrumental in getting this bill across the line that focused on childhood safety. How about we start thinking about other ways that we can protect our kids, you know, and see if that goes anywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was.
I love that approach for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the smart way of doing it, right? Because obviously, people think guns are, you know, the constitutional right is sacrosanct in this state, and you know, I don't think that any sort of approach that makes people think you're going to take their guns is going to get anywhere. I know you guys do smart policy, and you've been, you know, proponents of background, just, you know, expanding background checks and, you know, and things to help keep guns from people who are in dire straits. I know your kind of crisis aversion and rights retention bill that you guys have a long history of working with that, even when Morgan McGarvey, I think, was a state senator.
He was the first one that proposed that kind of a bill. It was, and then Senator Hornback picked it up, and then Senator Westerfield and David Yates picked it up last year, and now it's David Yates is still going forward with it. And we're just hoping that every year we keep talking to more and more people and trying to get them to see the point that when when somebody's in a crisis and they have a gun available, it can turn deadly so quickly. And the point we try to make with that particular piece of legislation is that if the gun owner uses his gun in a way that is harmful to himself or somebody else, he's either going to lose his life, her life, or they're going to lose their right to have a gun ever again because they will have committed a felony with that gun. So it's it's a protection for gun owners as much as it is a protection for the public. And that's where by averting the crisis, everybody gets to retain their rights, their right to life, their right to bear arms, lots of different rights get protected if we can avert the crisis by temporarily getting the guns out of the hands of dangerous people. The other thing that we really are hoping that is going to start getting some more traction is a secure storage bill. It's really important that all gun owners know that it is their responsibility to make sure that they keep their guns secured and out of the hands of people that shouldn't have them. And one of the big problems right now, and it's really been a growing problem in Kentucky and in other states that have repealed their permitting laws, where now anybody can have a gun, whether they have any training or they get a permit to own the gun, they can carry it around with them. And what's happening is that people are leaving their guns in their cars, and then the cars get broken into, the guns get stolen, and they become crime guns. And so it's really important that we get that message out, that it's really critical that you do not leave your gun unattended in a car, that you don't leave your gun in a place where a child or an adolescent can get a hold of it. It's just common sense, but that's the kind of thing that we really want to get that message across. And we would hope that at some point we would get some legislation to back that up. But so far, that's nothing like that's moving in the state. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that update. Kimberly, any questions for Cathy?
Always. I love Cathy.
I love you too, Kimberly.
I was looking at your website, well, the national website, not too long ago, and I had jotted down that it cost $557 billion a year, and that's representing the lifetime cost associated with gun violence right here in the good old United States of America. And we say we cannot put a price on a life, but that amount is completely staggering. And do you anticipate this going up in 2025 or being lowered in 2025?
Well, considering that we're not really stemming, especially in Kentucky, the rate of gun violence is not going down. Other kinds of crimes are going down, but gun violence is not really going down. And yeah, those numbers will just continue to rise. And I don't have that at the top of my head, what the estimate is for the state of Kentucky, but it's in the millions of dollars a year that are lost in because of gun violence. And a lot of that is borne by the taxpayer, that we end up paying for all kinds of things because we don't control the source. We don't limit access to guns to people that have no business having those guns. And so, we have increased police presence, we have increased security that we need, all kinds of measures are taken to harden our schools and, all of those kinds of expenses, when if we would just require people to keep their guns locked up, kids probably wouldn't be bringing their guns to school and then terrorizing or shooting up their schools. So there's just so many things that we could do that we don't do, and it is important to think about. You don't want to put a price on life, but certain kinds of politicians like economic arguments, and so we try to bring that one up as often as we can to anybody that's going to listen. That, hey, this costs taxpayers money. You want to DOGE somebody, maybe we should, we should figure that one out.
Oh, I love it, Cathy. Oh, if you want to DOGE somebody, I've got to write that down too, because I love it. If you want to DOGE somebody, this is one thing we can start working on right now.
Yeah.
The second thing that I wanted to ask you very quickly is, when someone is a victim right here in Kentucky of gun violence, or someone has been unalived, and then there's the family, what resources possibly does Moms Demand Action have right here in Kentucky?
Well, we haven't. One of the branches of our organization is called the Everytown Survivor Network. And anyone who identifies as a survivor of gun violence, whether that's that they themselves have been shot, or they've lost someone to gun violence, or they've been a witness to gun violence, whatever the individual person, how they identify themselves as a survivor, they can become part of our Everytown Survivor Network. And there's through the Survivor Network, they can get referrals for services. They can get a lot of peer support opportunities, and then opportunities to, because so many of the survivors, at least that get involved with our Survivor Network, are wanting to make sure that this never happens to anybody else's family. So they really help to turn their pain and their grief into activism and into reaching out for the next, to try to solve this problem. And it's one of the things that just really is very inspiring and very humbling for someone like me, because I haven't lost any children, or I haven't myself been shot. But when I'm standing next to someone that's happened to them, and they're able to share that, it's really powerful. So yeah, we do have our survivor network, which I would say, if you know of anybody that is a survivor of gun violence, have them get in touch with Moms Demand Action, and we can help get you linked up with our survivor network.
Thank you, Cathy.
So, Cathy, want to just say that it's such an honor to have you on here. I think the work you guys do is so important. What as you look out, we're kind of in the beginning of the second Trump term. We're in the kind of last few days of this short session. What's on the agenda for Moms Demand Action in the next year or so? Where do you guys see yourselves putting your time and energy?
Well, here in Kentucky, what we've really set our goal at is an education goal, is a theme of just getting the message out as much as possible. And being on your show is one of the ways that we can do that. We're really ramping up our Be Smart program, which Be Smart is our educational program that teaches adults, gun owners, the necessity of secure storage, how to securely store their guns, and things around that. So we're really working towards our Be Smart. We're also really trying to educate our legislators and sending them messages of, hey, did you know this? Did you know that? And Kimberly gave me the idea that maybe we should do a large scale email to them about the economic cost of gun violence. Have you ever thought about this issue? And those kinds of things. Our national organization, they continue to work. They can work more efficiently on legislation in the purple states. We have to get you guys going to turn us purple before we can make a whole lot of progress here in Kentucky on an issue like gun violence at the legislative level. But it's a tough road ahead of us, though. They destroyed the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. That was one of the very first things that they destroyed with their pen there, the magic marker that guy uses on his executive orders. They put Kash Patel in charge of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, as well as the FBI. So you can about imagine how much control we're going to have over gun running and those kinds of things when we've got Kash Patel guarding the hen house. So anyway, it's going to be a difficult row to hoe, but I don't see anybody backing down. In fact, I see people just getting mad and getting more excited and more like, we are not going to let them do this. We're not going to let them destroy our country. We're not going to let them, just shoot us in the streets. We're going to keep fighting back. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, Cathy, and I think we were trying to connect a couple weeks ago because you had your day of action in the Capitol Rotunda, I believe.
Yes.
How did that event go? I heard good things, but I want to hear it from you directly.
Yeah, and I really have to apologize about that. I was supposed to be on the call that night, and I was so exhausted, I slept right through it. So
if you listen to the show, that's what I said. I bet she's taking a nap.
It was a bit embarrassing, but it was a great day. We met with a lot of different legislators. We brought over, I think there was around 140 people that came to the Capitol that day for gun violence prevention. The red shirts were really noticeable, so we kept getting a lot of attention. Oh, what is this with the red shirts? Who are these people with the red shirts on, and what are you here for? And so, because the Capitol is always a busy place, so you get to mingle with a lot of different people, not just the legislators that you're trying to talk to. And so that's a good thing. And then the rally was just was really very powerful. We had all of our speakers that were survivors of gun violence, including Representative Moore was actually one of our speakers. And I knew that he was a veteran and that he was had been on active duty. So I sort of assumed that he'd probably been touched by gun violence, but he himself, he has a family member who died by suicide. And and he told that story, and that was just like, oh my gosh, it's in every family. It's everybody has been touched by this. And when you see the rippling effects, as it goes out from year to year to year. We had one of our survivors was present in the very first school shooting that happened over 30 years ago in East Carter High School. It was before Columbine, before any school shooting. That school shooting happened. And he's still living with the trauma that he experienced that day. And, it was really powerful. So we don't really feel like we broke the hearts of any of our super duper Republican majority, but eventually,
hard hearts.
eventually they're going to have to start thinking about that the people want to be safe. They don't want to live in fear, and guns are not making us safe. They just are.
Or we can just throw them out of office, and
that's that's what we're trying to do. I mean, one seat at a time. That's what Adam said. He said, I have one seat here, and there's 99 other seats that one of you guys could come and sit in one of those other 99 seats. So he was really encouraging us to run for office, which is I think a really important thing, because when you go up to the Capitol, you realize that the legislators, they don't know any more about anything than we do. They just happen to have gotten elected. And, they get
a lot of them know a lot less than we do, actually.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Name names,
but it's it's the sort of job that we can do, that regular ordinary people can go and be legislators.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Cathy, any final thoughts you want to share us with, or Kim, any final thoughts you've got for Cathy?
Cathy, I just really appreciate when you come on the show and how you inform us as well as our viewers and listeners about what's really going on. And it's just here in Louisville, which I live in Jefferson County, the murder rates are just astronomical, and they have been for some years now. And a lot of these guns are coming from, backdoor deals, black market, whatever you want to call it.
Right, exactly.
And I just think that, like you said, start hitting them with numbers. When you start talking to people about something, and I'm singing to the choir here, but when you start talking about money out of someone's pocket or their wallet, that's when they get really concerned.
Yep, it's true. And that reminds me, when you bring up Louisville, we're going to be having our March meeting of Moms Demand Action is going to be really focused on a conversation between survivors of gun violence and activists, and really trying to address the problems in Louisville. So if anybody's interested, that meeting is going to be on the 23rd, I think, at 2:00 in the afternoon at, I can't remember exactly where it's going to be, but anyway, it's going to be a good meeting. We're also having a meeting in Louisville that's going to be at the Sedona Tap, or in Lexington rather, at the Sedona Tap House at 4:00 on Sunday afternoon. So if anybody's interested in finding out more about Moms Demand Action, they can just show up there 4:00 at the Sedona Tap House in Lexington.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, if you want to send me any of those details, I can make sure they're in the show notes so people can see them, find them there. If you're driving and listen to this as a podcast, you can go to the show notes. We'll have that information there for you. All right, Cathy, thanks again so much for all the work that you're doing and your willingness to always share it with us. We're super grateful for it.
Well, thank
And
you.
this is how we make our Commonwealth a bit better, is by having smart advocates on the ground doing important work. So keep it up, Cathy. Keep it up. I know it's largely thankless, so I just thanked you.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah, no, it isn't as, some days it's more thankless than others. Today has been a pretty good day, actually. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are going to move on. We got a quick call to action, and then we're going to let folks get back to their day. So, I did want to just point out, we have been tracking lots of legislation. We have a long list of bills. As we all heard, HB 495, which would protect conversion therapists, that was debated today. So that's one that we need to, we need to fight in the Senate. Also, we've heard a lot about SB 89, which is water protections. There was a really important press conference. I believe it was, just earlier this week, with folks like Silas House and the environmental community standing together to talk about how important it is that they do not support SB 89 and stop that bill in the House. And then obviously, some really positive bills. So Adam's EpiPen bill, that's HB 236. Really excited to have folks support that one. And then, of course, our HB 684, which allows caregivers the ability to absentee vote. So the early absentee voting. So this is really good list. We can see the full list. We got a link. We can share it in the chat. So you can use it at your leisure, but the comment lines are open from about 7:30 till about 7:30. But I would recommend you call earlier in the day, as these bills are being considered. You absolutely want to get your voice heard for sure. And so that link is going to be good. We'll update the document as the bills move, so you'll always have an up-to-date list to utilize. The phone number's on there as well, but I know that we actually have a fun graphic, Annabelle. There's a graphic that has the phone number on it. I'm a huge fan of this graphic. The most friendly operators in the Commonwealth, you can call them at 1-800-372-7181. So if you're listening to this later during business hours, do call. Just pause right now. Just call 1-800-372-7181. Head to that bit.ly link, bit.ly /pro KY bills, and you can find the list of important bills to oppose and important bills to support, and send that message to your lawmaker. The phone calls actually really do matter. So, all right, that's what I've got. And then I think if you want to close us out, Kimberly, I'd love to have your help on that one.
I sure can, Aaron. What a great show tonight with Representative Adam Moore, and also our very, very beloved Cathy Hobart with Moms Demand Action. Absolutely phenomenal show tonight. So disclaimer first, Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Commonwealth Alliance for Voter Engagement, known as CAVE. And we are also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is always to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Please join us next week for our 201. 201. Wow, that is amazing, Aaron. We did 200 shows today. So next week will be our 201st show, and it's going to be amazing as usual. And production of the episode tonight, 200, was produced by our very own Annabelle Nagel, otherwise known as Annabello. So I love that name, Annabello. And then Nate Orshan, excuse me, wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. Head on over there after you listen to us to hear some of his music and his new song. And if you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcasts and our show notes are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. If you do listen to the pod, please, please, please leave us a 5-star review whenever you are listening. Logo and some graphic content were provided by Couchfire Media, and we look forward to seeing you next week.